Hey there, Sagittarius Ascendant. This is your forecast for the week ahead. So it's an ascendant forecast going from Monday, the 17th of November, right the way through to Sunday, the 23rd of November, 2025. It's a whole sign Western tropical model that I'm using. But what I want to tell you right from the word go is this is the week when the party gets started. So this is your week. This is the week when everything turns around. Now, last week would have, I think, got you reconsidering how you are in the world, and it would have caught your attention. You've got Mars going through your first house right now, which tends to make us feel a lot more strong in our body. We tend to feel much better when Mars is in our first house. We're starting to stand up for ourselves a little bit. But Mercury going retrograde into that conjunction with Mars, I think, has set you on a bit of a quest about yourself. And in this week, you're going deeper into that quest, deeper into the mystery. And towards the end of the week, as the sun comes back into your sign on the 22nd, things, I think, are going to improve in quite a big way. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. And a couple more things before we get going. It's not just that things are moving forwards, from the perspective of that Mercury retrograde aspect from last week, but we've got a new moon this week, which is pretty deep, and it's working at the level of your unconscious mind. We've also got a Mercury Cazimi taking place at the same time as the new moon. Really, this is a breakthrough in your absolute personal secret thinking. It's almost like you're getting a reboot of how you're using your mind. It's like you have or you will be downloading a much better operating system for yourself. So I do think at some belief level, things are going to really start changing and moving and shifting. But that's not all. There's also a really rare sextile between Uranus and Neptune. Now, they're already in a sextile. They have been for a while, but they are right in the middle of a series of 5 exact sextiles between the two of them. The last time they were in a sextile was back in the 60s. Between 66 and 68. And then the only other more recent, but still not that recent, connection between the two would have been in 1993 when they were in a conjunction together. So that's a long time ago. So this is rare. Things are moving forwards, and Uranus is absolutely tied into this new moon. So the stories you're telling about yourself are about to flip. But before I bring up these two charts, let me first just start by thanking everyone that supports this channel, whether you're doing it weekly, monthly, or whether you're supporting me through my school membership. I really, really thank you so much, because you're really helping me do this whole feel good astrology thing in the way that I want to. So thank you. Anyway, I've got 2 charts for you to have a look at, and you'll see this big red dot on both charts. That is the point at which the new moon and Mercury Cazimi is taking place at 28 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. And if I go backwards and forwards, you'll see that the moon is going from the sign of Libra and into the sign of Capricorn. Over really, this is very, very personal. So, the moon starts off in Libra, then on the 17th, it goes into Scorpio, and it's in the sign of Scorpio until depending on where you are, say halfway through the 20th. And when the moon is in the sign of Scorpio, this is a really, really private part of your chart. So from the 17th to 20th, you could say this is a time to spend a bit of time on your own, really reflect, really integrate what you're learning about yourself. This is a time when you'll be seeking answers from yourself, your intuition. You'll be turning off anything that's distracting. This is a time to get really raw and instinctive, and remember you before you got insanely busy, insanely noisy, messy, whatever happened in your life. I just want to point out the idea of the 6th house and the 12th house. All these houses here tell a bit of a story, and the last full moon was in Taurus, and it would have really emphasized all the stories you hold really dear to you, oh, this is who I am. I've got this going on in my life. And this is what happens on Tuesdays when I go to Keep Fit, whatever it is that you do. You've got this whole script for yourself. And This new moon that's coming up this week is in the 12th house, which is the opposite of having the script. This is you dropping your script, dropping all those things that you've associated with yourself, and it's about shaking it off. Like if you see an animal that has a bit of a shock, all of a sudden it shakes it off. It shakes off the memory of it. It shakes it off out of its body. It's almost like you're shaking off your stories in this week ahead. And from the 17th to 20th, it's really, really strong. I'm sorry that my shaking looked a bit rigid. It's a bit difficult to do when I'm sat in a twisty turny office chair. Anyway, so I really see that there's an element of breaking free of the spell of your stories. And Uranus is a massive component in this, because Uranus has just gone back into the sign of Taurus in your 6th house, which is very much about your day-to-day running of things. Like, what does your life look like? No doubt it's based on these very strongly held stories holding your whole life together. And of course, where the emphasis is right now is that these stories are meant to be evolving, changing, and reflecting the new you. So what was going on last week with Mercury just going retrograde, pretty much where Mars is right now, and Mercury, as we go through this, is actually going to go back into the sign of Scorpio on the 19th. And as he comes in, he's going to meet the sun and the moon. That all three of them are converging at the same point at 28 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. This is almost right at the end of the Scorpio story. And if this 0 Sagittarius represents your life, then you could say 29 degrees Scorpio sort of represents the death of all your stories. So to me, this new moon and Mercury Cazimis are, I think, very powerful moments where we get the sense that it's like our brain tunes on in a new way, like it turns on. The sun is really highlighting our brain. It just feels like a moment where you can have a breakthrough. Well, this is a retrograde Mercury Cazimi. This is like where your brain is rewiring its stories in a sudden breakthrough way. It's happening at the same time as the new moon. I think this is leading you to a greater alignment. And so I really think this is a very, very revealing week. So I don't know what you're going to be doing between the 17th and 20th, but if I was in your shoes, I think I would be planning to spend at least an hour a day going into myself. If you can manage it, I think that would be really helpful. Sit with a pad, a candle, whatever it is that you need to do. Like, some people might scribe, some people might use cards to open up, some people might read the Bible or tune in, go for a walk, or whatever works for you, whatever feels right. A Course in Miracles, there's so many different things that can inspire and sort of create some space for you to kind of move around in. I think our stories really tighten us up usually. And so what I'm really seeing is you're starting to loosen up all the threads holding the stories together between the 17th and the 20th. And Uranus is doing a lot of that. Mercury's in opposition to Uranus and is in a lovely trine to Neptune. So your imagination is really part of this. Your intuition is part of this. Your inner knowing is part of this. And this, I should also say, this is likely to bring up some very strong memories of the past. The moon is also waning. So it's a time when we don't want to be bothered by the outside world. And also where we have to be our own light. This is a time of self-trust, emotional honesty. It's also anywhere where you realize there's a story about you that you've got a bit distorted, or this image you've been portraying about yourself that now doesn't really feel very real. It's time to shake off that distortion as well. So this is really clarifying, truly clarifying. And so this new moon, I think, is a new start. This is a new start that has to be felt in your inner mind first before it gets revealed. And the amazing thing is, after the new moon on the 20th, the moon is then going to go into the sign of Sagittarius. It's going to meet Mars. It will come in here, and that's going to get the party started. I did say at the start, this is where you're ready for more, where you start to feel like your future is really speaking, because it's much easier to see a future coming when you don't have the stories of the past holding you back. And so, yeah, the 20th, it starts to shift. Yeah, on the 21st, the sun will be exactly in an opposition to Uranus, and also in a trine to Neptune. So then it's not just about your mental imagination, but it's about that felt imagination where you can start to like feel in your body what it might feel like to be a certain way, like a physical rehearsal, but it starts in the mind. Mercury's really got the party started here. So you've got it in your mind and in your heart, and then you're really feeling it in your body. So I think you're practicing what it feels like to be, when people say, oh, put a smile on, and you'll start to feel like that. Whilst I see there's truth in that, this is something a lot more sort of fundamental. You might be trying to maybe dress differently, or I don't know what it is, but it's almost like you're going to a dress rehearsal of something. And then on the 22nd, the sun comes into the sign of Sagittarius. And then I think it just feels like you've opened the curtains and it's a brand new day. I love this. I think this is going to be great for you around the 22nd. And of course, by that time, the moon then shifts on into the sign of Capricorn. And the moon has really opened up the Sagittarius energy. Where the moon goes, I think it really opens us up in an emotional way. And so the moon coming in here straight after the new moon is allowing you to wear your heart and emotions on your sleeve. It feels like in this last week you've been really kind of shut down and more internalized. And so from the later on the 20th, it feels like you can breathe again and maybe let people in, and maybe share some of your insights. So it's really strong. And then as we come into the end of the week, the sun is really in the sign of Sagittarius now, and it's starting to warm you up. Mercury then makes a gorgeous double trine, a trine to Jupiter and a trine to Saturn, really helping you to embed any new thoughts that you have about yourself with behaviors. And then as we're really coming to the end of this, the sun makes a sextile to Pluto. I realize retroactively that I've written Xtile, but it's sextile. So it's very powerful. And so this sun in a sextile to Pluto is powerful. You're feeling powerful in your new identity. You're feeling powerful maybe without these stories holding you on and holding you back. It just feels like there's a powerful new start for you. So you can see where I was excited about this for you now, I'm hoping. So that's where I'm going to leave this just for now. But if you are recreating something for yourself and you're looking forward to the new year and you're thinking now would be a good time to kind of get a feel for what's going on in my personal chart, then consider having a 2026 reading. I've got lots of different ideas. All you need to do is check out my links below. I've got limited spaces, but yeah, maybe it will be you that I'm working with, who knows. But anyway, have a fabulous new moon, a fabulous rediscovery of who you are, and hope to catch up with you another time. Lots of love. Bye for now.